You're someone with a vision for your practice, for your side hustle, and for your personal journey. But when it comes to establishing your path and how to get to where you want to be with your practice, things get a little messy. You're also someone who'd prefer to go in person instead of to groups and listening to everyone else's story. To me, it sounds like you could benefit from one on one consulting with our experienced practice of the practice consultants. From $5.95 a month and up, you can work with a consultant that will give you more direction and practical, tried and tested tips matched to you and your goals. For more information, visit practiceofthepractice.com/apply. Again, that's practiceofthepractice.com/apply. This is the Practice of the Practice podcast with Joe Sanok, session number 974. I'm Joe Sanok, your host, and welcome to the Practice of the Practice podcast. I am so excited to have you here with us today. We usually cover all sorts of things around starting, growing, and scaling a private practice that is thriving, that you absolutely love. You know, we want that side where you're thriving. We don't buy into what so many grad schools teach you that, you have to be a martyr, that you have to live just above the poverty line. I believe that if you make money and then you make more money and you're a person that's a good person, that's just going to magnify your ability to help the world. That the money isn't the problem, it's the attitude. And we want you to absolutely love it. We don't want you to have to sell your soul to be able to have a thriving practice. We want you to have a practice that matches your values, matches the impact and all the people that you want to help in the world. Now, today we have, as you saw in the title, a little different twist, which I'm excited to talk about Amazon and side hustles and those sorts of things. When I first started this journey, I was working full time, first in foster care as a full time foster care supervisor. Then I had a job at the community college in town here as a counselor in the student life department. That job was an amazing job, working 40 plus hours a week, helping students with all the stuff that went on in the student world. But I had started my counseling practice on the side to honestly just pay off student loan debt, to make a few extra $1,000s a month, to pay down student loan debt. And then that started to grow. But the practice came along when I started to think about different things. I was listening to Pat Flynn's Smart Passive Income podcast. I was listening to other podcasts like John Lee Dumas, Entrepreneurs on Fire, and then kind of got in this world of listening to entrepreneurs that I felt like were doing a really good, honest job, but also saying, hey, there's all these unique ways to make money that none of us really learned. And we're kind of newer ways. And so this idea of passive income or thinking about selling things, I still remember I put together a book list and I had become, at the time, they had this Amazon affiliates associates where anyone that you referred to buy something, you'd get anywhere between 3 and 6% of whatever they bought, not just your book or whatever you were referring them to, but whatever they bought for the next 24 hours. And I had this book list on my website, and I would make $2 or $3 a month. And then when I started Practice the Practice, it was because I knew that I wanted to keep kind of my clients in one area and not have them feeling like they were being sold into all these books or kind of passive things, but I needed something to take this knowledge that I was learning. And so I started Practice the Practice to really just talk about, all the things I was learning in the business of private practice. And I tried so many different ways to do passive income and, had affiliates for this and, Amazon for this. And, any given month, I might make 100 extra bucks, 200 extra bucks, which is good. $200 is $200. But it was nothing that I could quit my full-time job off of. And so how I made money was eventually offering podcast sponsorships and consulting and membership communities and all the things we offer now. But I really left behind the world of Amazon. And that's why I am so excited to be talking with Lesley Hensell today. So Lesley is co-founder of Riverbend Consulting, whose 85 plus employees solve problems for e-commerce sellers. Lesley oversees Riverbend's service team and has personally helped hundreds of sellers get suspended Amazon accounts up and running. She's also been an Amazon seller for more than a decade. Lesley, welcome to the Practice the Practice podcast.
Hey, Joe, I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, well, I want to just hear, let's start with how'd you get into Amazon selling? What were you doing before that and how'd you get into it?
So my my job history had all been around old school business consulting, like writing marketing plans, helping people to redesign lines in their manufacturing plants. I mean, like old school accounting firm kind of consulting work. And then I decided I wanted to go out on my own, like a lot of your listeners who decide to start their own practice. I was a consultant and I was working full time from home, working for a bunch of clients. And then we ran into a problem in our family. My older son, Austin, was really not doing well in school. And we took him to an educational psychiatrist who did a full workup and found that he was on the autism spectrum, had dysgraphia, dyspraxia, all the disses, so many
Mm.
diagnoses, lots of challenges, and really smart kids. So he coped really well, had a lot of coping skills to kind of cover. But when he got to around years old, he couldn't cover anymore. So my husband and I decided we were going to take a huge leap and we were going to homeschool him and do lots and lots of therapy, PT, OT, CBT, all the therapies. But when you decide to do that, even if you've got great insurance, it doesn't mean it's going to cover all the therapy and it's going to make it inexpensive for you. So I decided to quit my consulting practice and sell on Amazon. I'd heard about it from a friend and I just started hustling and buying inventory. So I would work with my kiddo during the day. And then when my husband got home from work, I would work on the business. And on the weekends, we would pack up all of our inventory and ship it off to Amazon to sell.
I remember hearing a podcast years ago, on it was Pat Flynn's Smart Passive Income podcast, and there was a couple that was doing. Maybe it was you, who knows? A couple that they were talking about how they'd go to Target, and there's certain ways that they knew that it was like the most discounted price, and they could look up, okay, we're going to buy 50 of these plungers that are a third of the price of what they could sell on Amazon, sell them to Fulfilled by Amazon, and then make all this money. Like, is that the kind of stuff that you're talking that you guys were doing?
Yes. So when we started out, it was all retail arbitrage, and also library book sales back in the day. We were selling tons of used books. This was back around 2010, 2011. And so, yes, you would go to a discount store or a big box store, find items that, like you said you can sell 3X, right? You're looking for things you can sell 3X. So you find certain things that are in high demand, but you can't find online and flip them. So you still see people do this a great deal around the holidays. You'll see people doing this with the hot toy of the year. I still do a little bit of retail arbitrage now at outlet malls, but most of what I do now is wholesale and selling direct for brands.
Yeah, define some of those terms for us. So, you said wholesale arbitrage. Is that what you said? No, you said it differently than that.
So retail arbitrage and
Retail
online
arbitrage.
and online arbitrage, that's what you were talking about, Joe, where the arbitrage is you're finding something that there's a demand for at a fraction of the price, so that by the time you buy it and you ship it to Amazon, they ship it to the customer, you're still making a profit. There's a differential there because you can charge 3x or 4x of what your original purchase price was. So that's the arbitrage world. A lot of sellers on Amazon follow a wholesale model, where they go to wholesalers or distributors of products. So these are, a lot of times they're in a particular vertical. So there might be a beauty wholesaler, for example, and they sell all kinds of beauty products from different brands. And they're like a middleman between the brands and you as a seller. So you go to them, they have large catalogs, you purchase from them, and then you flip it on Amazon.
Hmm. Now, there's a few other terms you use there, and I know like some people do like white labeling. Can you talk through kind of other just kind of categories before we dig into the conversation?
Absolutely. So, private label is my very favorite kind of selling on Amazon because there isn't as much competition. No one is competing on your particular item. So, if you develop a private label product, it's your own idea for a product, and you go find the manufacturer, whether it's overseas in China or here in the US, and you market it on Amazon. I know lots of folks who've developed that extra passive income stream. It's semi-passive, really, on Amazon. You still have to do some work, but they develop that long-term income stream by developing their own products. White labeling is dangerous on Amazon. So, y'all, this is a little nitty gritty. White label is where someone is specifically developing a product that they try and get 10 other folks to put their brand name on. So it's the same exact product, 10 different brand names. And that can be really confusing to buyers on the platform. So you stay away from that stuff. That's
Okay.
kind of like Alibaba stuff.
Okay, so stay away from that.
Mhm.
And then it sounds like it's pretty time intensive to go hunt out the deals and then flip it. But you said your private label is your favorite. Why is that your favorite?
Because if you do it well and you launch a high quality product and you can get traction, you have repeat buyers, you have referral buyers, and you can develop an entire line of products that are spin-offs of that one product. So really what the most successful sellers I personally know on Amazon have done is they find their niche and they develop one winning product, and from that they then continue to develop a sister product to that and another sister product, maybe launch 2 or 3 a year. And before you know it, you actually have 20 little mini streams of income. But I will say, Joe, I know it sounds very time consuming to go hunt down those retail arbitrage deals and the wholesale deals. It is at the beginning, but just like any other business or job, you find your shortcuts. You find the particular store in your area that has the best deals. You make friends with the manager. I have a store at an outlet mall where I've bought product for, gosh, 8 years, where they know exactly what I'm looking for. They know the margins that I need. And when they have certain things they get in, they call me and I tell them to set it aside. And then I just go pick it all up and buy it all. So
Mm.
if you invest some time up front, you can have these relationships where it's not nearly as time consuming as you might expect.
Hmm. I had a lady that was in one of my consulting mastermind groups, and she had this idea for these conversation cards for moms and teen daughters. And I had other consulting clients that had done similar things, and they'd order all these cards. They'd have 1,000 packs of whatever their idea was sitting in their garage. But this lady had done it through Amazon and had figured out all sorts of different ways to do it. And I think by her third month, she was bringing like 5K a month, just off of these cards. And it just like hit a nerve. And it was like, okay, this is something that I'd kind of written off as, not working super well, but really kind of, lit up for her. When you think about therapists, how are they uniquely positioned to do private labeling as an additional stream of income, or maybe even they want to replace their current income so that they don't have to be doing as much therapy and don't have to necessarily burn out?
So I love that question, and that conversation cards example is great. Let me give you a similar example. This Valentine's Day, there was a super hot product, and it was this dating game, and it was these scratch off cards where it's like every week you have a scratch off card, and then you have to go
Leslie, I
do the
literally
challenge.
bought that as a Valentine's Day present for Claire. I know
Did
exactly
you?
what you're talking about. They targeted me hardcore.
That was a private label developed product. It was not made by Hasbro or someone enormous. And it was a great seller. You wouldn't believe how much product they moved. In Amazon circles, it was all the rage and all the talk. So you can see how a game like that, that is all about relationships, right? There's some great ideas like that that a therapist could develop that actually uses their own skills that they have developed over time. A lot of these, how to build a conversation, party games, the games area is huge and it is there for the taking.
Hmm. Do you often find yourself overwhelmed by the influx of client calls you receive? Receptionists are expensive, but you can't afford to let your patients go to voicemail. You care for your clients, so you try to phone them back, but more often than not, it's too late. They've gone to another practice. When you partner with Well Received, you capture every opportunity. Your calls are answered by professional medical receptionists 24/7, and they can support you with more than just message taking. They offer new patient intake, after hours service, bilingual services, medical appointment scheduling, medical live chat, and so much more. All this at a fraction of the cost of an in house receptionist. Your patients are well received as a priority. As a Practice of the Practice listener, you can get an exclusive 50% off your first 2 months of service. Head on over to wellreceived.com/Joe to start growing your practice today. So let's say a therapist is listening and they're like, okay, like I'm talented in areas of couples or trauma or anxiety. I've got some basic ideas. Let's start with just how would you say they should brainstorm? What's the like first type of research they could do if they have an idea?
So, the first thing you do is search on Amazon itself and look for competitors. So, you're trying to find a niche that doesn't have a powerful competitor that is already really owning that category. There's also some very inexpensive research tools out there called Helium 10 and Jungle Scout that they can help you do this kind of competitive research, and you can get the cheap plan or the free plan to just look up a few things. But you're really looking for these niches where there isn't already someone just dominating. And they're relatively easy to find. You search with the keywords that you think are most appropriate for your idea. Also, it's really great to present your idea to friends and family and ask them how they would describe it. So, if you were searching on Amazon for this scratch off couples game, what would you search for? Because some people might say date night, other people might say relationship building or married couple or partner. And so you want to find all those keywords that other people would use that then you can use for your own keyword research.
Mm. Okay, so they do a little bit of investigation and say it's validated, and people say they like it. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of competition. Like, how much? Like, I feel like most people then it's like, okay, now what? Like, do I need to put in hundreds of thousands of dollars? Do I need to put in $5,000? Like, how much product do I buy? Where do I spend money on advertising? How do I set it up? Like, what do people do after the idea feels like something they want to either test or to launch?
So if you're bootstrapping this, you want to keep your costs reasonable and low. And it is completely fine to do a small test run of products. So a test run, now there's always price breaks. I mean, we've all seen this like when you're ordering business cards or brochures, that there's some point where it doesn't make sense to do the least quantity, right? And then there's a great price break going from 500 to 1,000 or whatever it is. But I do know many people who will order 500 units of something as a starting quantity. And a lot of games and card decks and a lot of physical product on Amazon you can get for $5 or less.
Mm.
Produced by the manufacturer. Sometimes you're looking at around $7 or less. So it's not some crazy huge investment. It is an investment. And there are manufacturers who specialize in everything you can imagine: decks of cards, board games, any kind of clothing item, any apparel that's printed, jewelry that has sayings on it that are affirmations, calendars. There are manufacturers for all of these in every country you can think of. So a lot of the challenge now is finding a great manufacturer you can depend on and getting good pricing from them.
So when you have an idea or a mock-up, how long does it take typically to go from so say you had a designer like design it really well, it looks good. How long does it take to get the first version of it to kind of approve it before you get the 500 or so ordered?
So, manufacturing turnaround times, especially when you're not in fourth quarter, are faster than you might expect. So, if you're ordering product from China and you want to land it in the United States, oftentimes it can be 60 to 90 days and you're
Mm,
getting landed product. If you do it the smart way, I would highly recommend that you have samples sent to you and double check them all before you have the full order sent to you. And that can add 30 days or so because of the back and forth.
hmm. Okay, so then do you then have it shipped directly to Amazon when you get the big case of 500, and then what happens then?
So it depends on how confident you are in the product you've developed. If you are extremely confident this is going to sell, then yes, a lot of the manufacturers will ship directly to Amazon with the correct stickering and everything Amazon needs. And your long-term strategy, that's always what you want to do, because shipping direct, it eliminates any double shipping. However, if you're not confident, if you're not sure, you're just getting 500 units, so it's a pallet. You don't know how it's going to move. In that case, I'm shipping it to my garage or my storage unit, and I'll tell you why. I'm going to send 100 units to Amazon, and I'm going to see how fast they move. Because if they don't move at all, I'm going to need to invest things in things other than storage. I might have to do some advertising. I need to improve my listing page with better photos. I need to get those items moving. And if in the meantime, I might want to try out a Shopify store, might want to try eBay. That way I have options because I have inventory on hand and I can test and see where it sells best.
Mm. Now, does Amazon charge you for storing it at their facilities?
They do. If you flip product pretty quickly, if it's in and out in 30 or 60 days, the storage fees are negligible. Where the storage fees get expensive is items that haven't moved for 6 months.
Mm.
That's where you're really going to be hurting. So that's another reason to drip feed that inventory into Amazon as you ramp up the sales and figure out the marketing, because there aren't many products that you're going to immediately move, 500 units. It's going to take you 30, 60 days to catch fire, to start ranking in the searches, to play with those keywords and manipulate it till you get it where you need it to be.
Hmm. Now, how much time would you say on average, if someone said in the next year, I want to launch something that is private labeled therapeutic, how much time per week? And I'm sure it goes in kind of bubbles where you put more time in or less, but on average, if someone says, hey, I've got 5 hours a week, like, is that enough time to do something like this? Or do they really need to be committing, 10 or 20 hours a week to really launch something like this?
So for one single product, 5 hours a week is enough time, except for some certain outliers. So when you're working on the manufacturing process, there might be a little more. When you're first really launching on Amazon and getting that listing detail page set up to be beautiful, it might be a little more. But these aren't things that you are doing from scratch all the time. Uh, Downstream, you're just going to be tweaking here and there. So, yes, there will occasionally be a week where you might need to spend 20 hours. But if you're looking long term over time, 5 hours a week is completely adequate. And also, here's some more magic. There are hundreds, if not thousands, there have got to be thousands of virtual assistants out there who specialize in Amazon. Many of them are overseas. They are very good at their jobs. I use a virtual assistant to manage my account. And so a lot of the day to day on Amazon, they can take care of that for you for very small fees. Many of them charge less than $5 an hour and manage a lot of the day to day on the account. So if you find a great virtual assistant, then it's even less time for you over the long term.
Mm. Now, what's the downside? I mean, I'm sure that, when we talk about anything, there's people that are success stories that are able to replace part or all of their income. Where do people screw this up? Where's there some risk that people should be aware of?
Yes, there is always risk, absolutely. And the biggest risk is you invest in this product and it doesn't sell, and it is still sitting in your basement or your garage or your storage facility. What's important to have is a budget beyond what the price is to create those products. So, if you've got a budget of $10,000, you want to make sure that you've got half of that to create product and half of that to market the product, because
Mm.
you're getting it going from zero. Getting it from 0 to 60 is a lot more expensive and difficult than maintaining 40 to 60 after it's going on the highway, right? So at the beginning, you're going to have to invest in some advertising and invest in some marketing here and there to really get it to take off. But once it's started to move, you're in much better shape. So the biggest mistake that I see entrepreneurs make is they budget for actually landing the product in the United States, but they don't put any budget aside for promotion.
Mm. Now, promotion-wise, what have you seen that is working right now for these private labeled products?
So at the beginning of any launch on Amazon, you're in a honeymoon phase. And they call it a honeymoon because it's just like a real honeymoon that, your significant other can do no wrong. You love them no matter what. And that's how Amazon sees your new product. A new sale is treated as a much bigger deal during your honeymoon period than it is 2 years down the line because they're seeing, ooh, there's excitement around this brand new product. That's awesome. Because of that, in the honeymoon period of the first 60 days or so, you definitely want to invest in some PPC advertising. That's pay per click advertising on Amazon. It sounds daunting, but there are automated programs where Amazon will actually help you set up your own advertising. So it's not as scary as you might think it is. Also, influencer marketing is huge. If you know someone in the industry, if you know someone who's hot on social media, that's a great way to drive traffic to those Amazon listings. I hate to say it, but I guess it's just because I'm old, Joe. But TikTok is huge right now. I've got a lot of sellers that I work with who are driving traffic to their private label products with TikTok videos. And yeah, that's a lot of the hot, easy, and almost free ways to drive traffic right now.
Mm. Well, the last question I always ask people is if every private practitioner in the world were listening right now, what would you want them to know?
So burnout is real. I've experienced it in my own life and in my own profession. And I know just like I pour into my clients, you pour into your clients every day. I would encourage you to look into Amazon, and if not Amazon, something else as an additional stream of income so that when you do need to step away for that sabbatical, that vacation, that downtime, that you have another stream of income already flowing into your household to remove the stress that you might have.
Hmm. That's awesome. If people want to work with you, if they want to learn more, where should we send them?
So head on over to riverbendconsulting.com. And you can also find me, Lesley Hensell, on all the social media sites. Send me a message, reach out. If you've got an idea, you've got a question, love to hear from people who want to be entrepreneurs. That isn't my paid life or my paid gig. It's just something I do because it's fun. So I would love to hear from anybody.
So awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the Practice of the Practice podcast today.
Thank you.
I love interviewing people outside of our industry. There's just so many ways that we can apply our knowledge in ways that can help the world, can help us make money, can just be different than anything that we knew as options in graduate school. So, if that sounds interesting, check out Amazon, check out the website, and maybe get some help with your Amazon product. And hey, if you launch something, let us know. We'd love to talk with you about it and get the word out about your product you launched because you listened to this episode. Also, we could not do this show without our amazing sponsors. And our sponsor, Well Received, is our sponsor for the show today. I'm wondering, do you ever find yourself overwhelmed by the influx of patient calls you receive? I know for me, when I had my practice before I sold it, receptionists were really expensive. But I also couldn't afford to have my clients go to voicemail. And Well Received is what I wish I had. They have professional medical receptionists that answer phones 24/7. They do new patient intakes, after-hour services, bilingual services, medical appointment scheduling, medical live chat, and so much more. And it's all at the fraction of a cost of an in-house receptionist. As a Practice the Practice listener, you can get 50% off your first 2 months. Just head on over to wellreceived.com/Joe. Again, that is wellreceived.com/Joe. Thank you so much for letting me into your ears and into your brain. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Special thanks to the band Silence is Sexy for that intro music, and this podcast is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information in regard to the subject matter covered. It is given with the understanding that neither the host, the producers, the publishers, or guests are rendering legal, accounting, clinical, or other professional information. If you want a professional, you should find one.